All right. Okay. Okay, so we're recording, and I'm going to try to put something in the chat for you. Oh, good. Okay. So, folks, hi, Dan. Um, so this is going to be somewhat interactive and somewhat me leading. And so what I want to start with is inviting you to put a word in the chat about how you feel at this point of the Omer. We are just past halfway through. And what does that feel like at the moment? Fulfilling, inspiring. I wrote, I'm getting forgetful because it's like an everyday thing. So it's getting a little demanding. Anybody else confused, tentative, uncertain, deeper, full? It feels like a long journey that I am enjoying. Yes, it is a very long journey. It gets longer. Changes by day. How you feel changes by day? Distracted. It takes a lot of focus. It takes a lot of focus. Okay, well, I just thought it was important to note that we are about hard to keep up, so my one word is hopeful. Yes, hopeful. Supported by Sphirot. Yes, good, good, good. Well, I think what we give to it, we get back from it. So, as much as you feel like putting in, I hope that you get a return on that. Okay, so I am going to, if you let's try putting this in the chat again, because, okay, it's now all the way up at the top. Can you see the chant that I put in the chat? Okay. So we're going to start with this chant, and I'll thank you all for muting Avivala. And you'll see soon why I chose this chant. So please sing along in your muted rooms. All right. Shalom, 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 salam, 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 salam. Om Shanti Om. Om Shanti Om. Om Shanti Om. Om Shanti Om. Peace in the world. Peace in the world. Peace in the world. Peace in the world. So, the focus is Om, Olam, world. And the lower triangle of the tree of life is our presence in the world. It's our physical reality. It is Om infusing Olam. Om is the sound of creation, the unity of spirit, mind, and body. And it's infusing our world. So, what we're going to do first is a short meditation to bring you into the energy of Netzach. And then we will discuss it from a more intellectual perspective. So I'd like you to get settled comfortably, seated, because this is not a long meditation. So seated is better. And please close your eyes if you are comfortable. And if I get too soft, just yell louder and I will respond. Okay? So, bring yourself into quiet and drop a root into the earth to anchor yourself. Make that anchor strong. And pay attention now to your breath. Without manipulating it, just allow it and pay attention to it. As you fill, pause, empty, pause, and repeat for a few cycles. Our intention is to experience energy in the lower body. So we're going to begin in the upper body. We're going to start at Keter. Bring your attention to that space in the energy body just above the crown of your head. That is where your Keter is. And I suggest you imagine a bubble of light or a small ball of light at that point, and let that light guide you through the tree. So bring the light down to the center of your head behind your third eye, where you'll be level with Bina and Chokhmah. Allow that light to move from your head to your throat. See if you can stay with the light as it travels into the various sfirot. So in the throat, you have Da'at. And move down to the shoulders. You're staying in the central column. You have Chesed on the right and Gevura on the left. And see if you can sense that light right there, right up above your high heart. And allow the light to move into Tiferet. Tiferet is your heart energy. And as the light flows through Tiferet, does it change Tiferet for you? So we're going to move further down the central column, and we're going to leave the middle triangle and move just about to your belly button, slightly lower, so that if you were to draw a line to the two sides, you would be at the upper part of your hips. You have Netzach on your right hip, extending down the leg, and Gevura on your left hip, extending down the leg on that side. And so I want you to bring your attention to those upper corners of that lower triangle. The light is more hidden here. Your body is more opaque. So you have to really work to find the energy centers and to illuminate them. So Yesod is at the central column below Netzach and Hod. This is the largest energy center in the body. It's called the Dantian or the Hara in Eastern cultures. I like to think of it as not just in the sacral center, but since it's such a large energy center, it touches the bottom of the pelvic bowl. So your pelvic bowl is a U shape, like an upside down saddle. And at the base of it is a mesh of connective and muscle tissues known as the pelvic floor. Think of this triangle as touching that deepest part and then the outermost corners of your hips so that it forms a basket rather than a triangle. Let your attention and maybe this little bubble of light move around in this basket. This is our gut, our second brain, where we sense and know our reality. This is where the energy to live our lives actually lives, and the relationships that sustain it. So, Netzach is fortitude, Hod, beautification, Yesod, our creativity of this life persona. So can you, in your mind, create connections between these 3 points? Draw lines. The lines are part of the tree, and the lines are just as important as the points. And in between these lines, the energy of your life churns. Tune into it. Take an inner video, and then you'll be able to go back to it when we're thinking about this in a different way in the next segment. Stay deep in your belly for a moment. Know that this is where your wisdom arises from. And move your attention back to your breath. Filling, pausing, emptying, pausing. And now you can return to the space and to the others in the room. So, what we're going to do now is name all the names that we have come across for Netzach. And I'm going to ask if somebody will scribe them and put them in the chat. Can we have a scribe? Rachel, thanks. So everything somebody says, just pop it into the chat. What names do you have? What translations have you seen for Netzach? Just pop open, popcorn style.
Victory.
Victory. Victory is the literal translation. Okay, what else? Mary Rita, did I hear you?
Yes, resilience.
Resilience, good. Rachel, are you getting them?
Endurance.
Okay, I don't see, I'm going in the chat. Victory, resilience, okay, good.
Generative.
Yeah. What did you say? Marlena, what did you say? I'm sorry?
Generative.
Interesting, generative, okay.
And Meira, did you hear Susan?
No.
Okay.
What did you say, Susan?
I said
I can't hear.
It's written in the chat, so somebody heard me.
Oh, okay. So I heard victory, resilience, endurance, and generative.
Yeah, I heard her say endurance, yeah.
Okay.
Persistence.
Persistence, thank you, persistence. There are more. There are so many.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mary Rita, go ahead.
I like to call it everlasting eternity.
Okay, so I got two there: everlastingness and
Yeah, and
eternity.
eternity.
Eternity, right? More
Perseverance.
perseverance.
Okay, this you'll never find this in lists, but I also call her Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman. Okay, so there's a sense of force about
Yeah,
Netzach. Okay,
like
power,
power.
right? Stubbornness. That's an interesting question. So how about continuity? Have you
Hmm.
seen that? Mm-hmm. There are lots of others. Legacy.
Oh,
Legacy is one of the traditional meanings given to Netzach. Sustainability is one of the contemporary meanings given to Netzach. Sustenance is another meaning. Um,
In the work
forbear, sorry, Steve?
in the workbook, fortitude is
Fortitude, right, fortitude. Forbearance, um, uh, and winning is also in the, because the literal definition is victory, right? Okay, well, that's quite a list. Um,
I like big energy.
big energy, yes. Big pushing energy. Big pushing energy, right? So if I look at this list and I have to decide which one I think, if I had to have a single word, I think it's fortitude, because I think it encompasses the greatest number of these qualities, but you can use whatever works. Rachel, thank you for putting them all in the chat. That's a big help that everybody can see them. All right, so um, some of you worked this week with the attribute, and right now I'm going to attempt a screen share um, so that we can talk about the attribute in context of the tree. Okay, can you see the tree? Yeah, okay, great.
that's
All right. So what I want to point out is some things that we don't seem to pay too much attention to. We notice the individual sphirot, but what's really important is where they are in relationship to one another. And so I'm going to talk about those relationships. So here we are in Netzach. Can you see the cursor? Is it visible? No? Okay.
no.
Okay, so Netzach is in green on the lower right. And Netzach is the child of Chesed, which is right above it. And Chesed is the child of Chokhmah. So Chokhmah is the grandparent.
Okay.
All right. So these are relationships that we don't often think about, but they're very important. And then Netzach has a partner on the other side, and that's Hod. Okay. So this is considered to be a partnership. They could be siblings, it could be a marriage, but whatever it is, they're considered to be partners. Now, if you want to look up from Netzach to Gevurah or Netzach to Bina, what you have is aunts and uncles, godparents, other relationships. So it's important to look at those relationships in the tree. Um, And also to remember that every sphera has a tree within it, and every sphera in that tree within it has the tree within it. So there's an infinite embedding of sphirot. It's kind of like the counterbalance to the infinite unfolding of the worlds. It's like an inward unfolding. All right, so we can also have wounded sphirot. Um, so I'm going to take this down because you've seen the relationships. Okay, and wounded Sphirot. Netzach can be overworked. You may have been dealing with a lot of adversity. You may have had challenges. You may have traumas, health issues, any broad number of things that can overwork an energy center. And so it could overexpand and then collapse. So this is my story, and this is the story of those people with ongoing challenges. Netzach gets taxed. And so the question is, how do you heal Netzach? And how do you keep it from being taxed? How do you keep it in balance? And that's the relationship with Hod. So next week will be about Hod, and Hod is this strange paradox. How can something be both splendor and humility, gloriousness and gratitude? But this is what keeps Netzach in check. The force of Netzach is held in balance by Hod. So I like to say you balance efforting with surrender. You balance persistence with gratitude. You balance fortitude with beauty. And those are some of the ways to keep Netzach from being overly forceful. So where does Yesod come in? When Netzach and Hod are in balance, Yesod is able to fully activate. And Yesod allows us to create, to co-create, to procreate, to do the work of this life in this world in the fullest and most complete way if the whole triangle is in balance. So Yesod is considered to be the blueprint of who we are. And so Yesod is the Om. Yesod is the foundation, the force of creation in our bodies. So, to go back, we need to think of Netzach as a friend and embrace Netzach when we need that strength and that force, and let it go when that strength and force is not required, so that we can embrace the whole lower triangle. So, that's my overview of Netzach. And what I'd like to do is open it to questions now before I ask you questions. So let's have any questions from Peanut Gallery. Hi, Dan.
I'm intrigued by the concept of wounded Sphirot. I don't think I've heard that before. I don't remember it. And you had mentioned that Hod was a balance for Netzach. When Netzach becomes too big, it needs to be balanced. But with the concept of wounded, if Netzach becomes too weakened, damaged, overworked or overwhelmed, then what's the understanding of what Hod does? Or how does that work?
Great question. Okay, so we would like Hod to keep Netzach in balance before it gets badly out of sync, right? And so we have to train ourselves to move out of force and persistence and into quiet gratitude and surrender as a self-check, as a regular thing to do. Once Netzach is, I'm going to call it overworked, like burnt out, it can take a long time to restore that. In medical terms, that's adrenal fatigue. That's what Netzach burnt out is. It's adrenal fatigue. And we see that in a lot of people with chronic conditions because their body has overworked to try to sustain themselves. So, Dan, that's a longer process, I think, of playing with the whole lower triangle and trying to see what one sphera can feed to the other. Because it's all about the balance. And it's also, if Netzach is really, really in need, you've got Chesed right there. Chesed is going to shoot this flow of divine love right into Netzach, and that's how you restore it. You concentrate on the Chesed coming down. Does that make sense?
I see. So it's healed more from Chesed than it is from Hod.
It could be healed from Hod, but it could be healed from Chesed.
Yeah.
Either
Okay.
way. But whatever way works in your appreciation of your experience, right? It's very personal. Mary Rita.
So, what just came to me is Netzach, with its force and its persistence, feels like he goes it alone a lot. So that when I think of Hod, I think the lesson and the balancing is that Hod can teach Netzach the importance of making room for relationships and not go it alone. And that would be one of the ways to heal.
I think that's great. That's great because that's my impression too, is that Netzach often goes it alone.
Yeah.
I see a hand, Barb.
Oh, okay. So I guess I don't know if this is getting ahead of things, but thinking about Hod, that it doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't seem to have a directed force to it. And I guess I'm wondering about, well, is there a natural way of moving toward Netzach? Or, I mean,
Oh, that's a beautiful question. I love that question. All right. So all of the Sphirot on the right side are of force or flow or movement. And all of the Sphirot on the left side are of containers, boundaries, something that holds something. So the job of Hod would be to hold Netzach in a safe place, to balance that forward movement with a stillness movement. Anel.
I was thinking, I love what Mary Rita said about relationship, and maybe it's like Netzach needs to recognize gratitude for all that Netzach has done and let hold it
Yeah.
in order that there become more of a balance.
Yeah, Netzach is this drive, this ambition, this going forth for victory. And yet maybe Netzach doesn't recognize when victory has happened.
Yeah.
Maybe it takes Hod to do that.
And then when she talked about, I guess it was Barb who talked about
Barb,
Yesod, I'm not sure, but I see Yesod as the generative power going back up the tree, that it's enlivening Netzach, but it's also being received by Hod.
Okay, so that's a really good point that you bring up. If you look at Yesod, which is the bottom of the triangle, it's got more than one function. It's being activated and enlivened by the energies from Netzach and Hod. So if they're in balance, then Yesod will be fully alive. But it is also this generative power that comes back up the central column. It is considered the blueprint of our true self. So the formula, I shouldn't use the word blueprint twice. The design is in Bina, but the actual manifestation of our total self is in Yesod.
So then you may as well talk about Malchut and how that gets related.
So Malchut is actually my new and developing understanding is that Malchut Shekhinah is actually outside the body in the energy field, the way Keter is outside the body and in the energy field, and actually it establishes our relationship to Earth, and to receiving the divine from below as well as the what we receive from above. So it's not essential to the tree. It's kind of the thing that holds up the tree, but it's not within the tree. What do you think of that?
I don't know. I don't know if it's outside the tree.
It's the tree outside of our bodies.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
outside of our bodies.
Well,
Is
I
scaffolding? Oh, sorry.
no, go ahead.
Is that the scaffolding then? Like the scaffolding is always like outside the building kind of thing. Is
No,
that what?
no,
No?
I think the central column, we have three pillars. We have the central pillar, and the right pillar, and the left pillar.
Yes.
I think I would call that the
That's the
scaffolding.
scaffolding. Okay, the framework. And then, so what's the thing outside?
The Keter
Keter and
Yeah.
above and Malchut Shekhinah is below.
Oh, that's technically not at our root, like I visualized, I guess.
Well, so there's been a lot of debate, but where I'm landing right now, and you all can land where you want to, is that Malchut Shekhinah is not at the genitals. That's at the pelvic floor. And that's how far Yesod goes down.
Okay.
The root is actually below us. It's the field below us. It's our anchor into the
So
earth.
okay. Okay.
Does that
So
make
it's what's
sense?
being birthed. The birth thing comes outside of the body.
yeah.
Mm.
Interesting.
So it's that birth of the presence of Malchut Shekhinah presence. I see. I didn't get it at first outside the body, but I get it now. That's a really
And
interesting concept.
also, it comes in through the body, right? Malchut Shekhinah infuses us from below. It's the energy that rises up through us. As a sphira. I mean, you could say that Shekhinah is everywhere, but as Malchut Shekhinah, as the sphira, rises up through us. These are all like negotiable points. It's just that I've been playing with it for a long time, and some things work better than others.
I have to tell you, if you look at this picture I don't know where it is on your screen, but where this hand is, this is part of a wisteria. But when I look at it, I see like this individual being, and I'm trying to figure the Malchut at the outside of that root, and then the Keter coming up over where the head is.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
it's kind of weird that picture went with tonight.
Yeah, it really did. I can see it.
I can see it. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, with Shahina Malhud being outside the body makes so much more sense for me of Yesod's role, as holding the design, but also as it's like a funnel, just taking all the energy from the other sphirot and birthing them to Shahina in the neighborhood of, Great
Yeah,
Mother
exactly.
Earth.
It's then exactly, and also it's like the Yesod becomes like the fulcrum,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Steve, did I see your hand? No? Okay. I heard somebody about to speak and I didn't want to cut anybody off. Um, so I just want to say that there's many right ways to look at the tree. Um, and we can't say that any one of them is the actual way because maybe there is more than one actual way. Maybe I'm going to throw another thing at you. Maybe the tree is not lying in this dimension on our bodies. Maybe it's satellites around a central pillar. Maybe it exists as a spiral. Maybe it can rotate. We don't have to be limited by this flat image. Anna L has her hand up.
Just as you said that, I thought of that day that I called you up and I told you about the trees coming out from all the different directions of my body, all spinning around. I should look for that meditation because it really makes sense now. At the time, it was very confusing, but it's making much more sense now.
Right. Dan.
Yeah, it also the rotating, spinning idea, spiraling helps me because I have difficulty with the right and left definitions, and if you let go of the right and left, you can see that. I mean, I have no problem with thinking of Chochman and Chesed and Netzach all aligned, but with spinning around, you lose the right-left thing, which is not good. I,
Yeah.
I have
I
one
agree.
other question about
Yeah.
that, which is the definition of victory.
Right.
I I don't, there's something about that which I really don't like because it's like victory over somebody, winning, beating somebody.
Right.
There's got to be a loser. So would a better word be success
Oh,
than,
success. That's success, though. I'll tell you why success doesn't work. And it's also why victory doesn't work. Because we've come to think of Netzach as something in action, and victory and success are outcomes. But Netzach is not an outcome, it's something in action. So persistence or eternal or um,
or big energy?
big energy, legacy. Legacy is all the work that you have done and it it continues onward as
I like
opposed
that. I like that because the outcome thing, there's something wrong with it, and
right.
it really rubs me the wrong way. So thank you. I mean, success is a little better just in the sense that you've done something, but it doesn't mean you've beaten somebody or
Right, right.
uh,
Well, that's why there's a push towards these other words like sustainability, fortitude, because it's not your power over.
right,
It's not power over, it's power for.
right. Thank you.
And that's the whole, that's the whole shift with moving into the divine feminine. It's not power over, it's power for. Yeah, Anna L.
I don't know if you want to hear it, but I found that Sefirot meditation that we were talking about with the spinning.
Okay, well, it's a whole meditation.
It
Oh,
would take a couple minutes.
okay, well, hang on just a second. Let's see where we are. Any further thoughts or questions?
Power with.
Power with. Power with, that's what we're looking for. Power with. Um, Okay, I'm going to ask a few questions and then we'll see where we are on Ellen. We might do that meditation. Okay, so some of you have been looking at the workbook, and I wondered how it came across to you this week and if you found the exercises useful.
I didn't do it.
I didn't do it.
So I know Rachel's been doing it.
I was impressed by Rachel's.
I haven't been doing it.
Oh.
I'm going for full authenticity here. I haven't been doing it, but I've read the entire thing and done some of the activities.
Oh, okay. Okay, so that's what I mean. So
Now it's showing up in my life big time. Yeah.
there was this activity this week where there was a labyrinth.
That was the first one. The first day
The
of this.
first activity, right. And they asked you to do the labyrinth 3 times. And I thought that's where they're trying to harness Netzach, is can you stick with it? Can you keep on going? Right? So I just wondered if anything grabbed you from the material. I did notice all the different words that they used, and some of them work for me better than others. Like winning doesn't really work for me very well, but I understand why they put it there. So the next question I was going to ask you is, have you experienced Sfirot that are under functioning, over functioning, injured, wounded? Have you an experience of your own Sfirot not optimal?
Mm-hmm.
I see head nods. Barb, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't think I have the sense of these properties or spherot that I would really understand what that means, that it's not functioning or it is functioning. And it seems pretty complex if they, interact and so on. So I don't know. I mean, that seems to me like a middle place and not a starting place.
Oh, well, but people are at all different places with doing this. And the thing is to tune into them as energy fields in your body rather than as just simply an attribute. An attribute is an intellectual exercise, but an energy field in your body is something that you can sense and feel and notice if it's functioning or not functioning. Anybody else have any senses about that question? Is there
I do. I've done quite a journey with Netzach. I've gone from not really grasping it in my body. Netzach is the one that can really list too much. Like it can be too much. I've got the pushing energy too much. But I've spent a lot of time last year on Hode, and I'm gonna do Hode next week, and I know now. I really know when it gets wacky, and I know how it feels in my body, and I think even last week or the week before, like I got this message like you got to reboot yourself. And rebooting is like the stillness. It's Hode. It's the stillness and the quiet and the breathing that needs to happen. The self-care, and yeah.
And everyone should read Mary Rita's piece on Netzach that appeared on Yerusha's Substack last week. Conversations? Was it Conversations with Netzach?
Encountering.
Encounters with Netzach. Yes.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to relate. I'm sorry, is somebody else going?
Go ahead, Dan.
It's hard for me at this point to relate to a lot of this because I've not been feeling well the last few months, and there's a chronicness and there's a debilitating part of it and a defeating part of it. And so it's I'm not able to connect to any of the elements of Netzach or Chesed or any of these things while that's going on, and so it's a problem. I mean, I can understand some of these things intellectually and try to think about the balance, and I have in the past, but when one's not feeling well, it's very difficult.
It is. It's much harder to sense and feel what's going on. And I want to suggest that when I'm not feeling well, and I'm not feeling well now, um, it's a tendency to use too much Netzach, for me to try too hard to fix it, to strive too much to get better. Um, and so I have to counterbalance that. Um, that's the way I experience my illness.
Right.
I heard another voice. Who was the other voice? Barb?
No,
Oh,
Aviva?
Rachel.
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 Hi.
Hi.
Um, this is great. Thank you. I think it depends on the lens that we're looking through when we're able to, I think, absorb stuff. Like a week ago, I probably wouldn't have felt the way I do today. It's like even for the pain and the chronic illness, like we have to be using chesed there for like loving ourselves enough to go through that, just for survival. Like that, like that's the way I would see that connecting. But yes, I've definitely burned out Netzach because what's important to me is truly enjoying the little things, the slow moments, the senses, the little pleasures. Um, and that must be the form
And that's Hod.
for going the extra mile,
The
right?
the
But if
senses, enjoying the
that's
senses.
code, right?
That's
That's
Hod.
the
Yeah.
moment,
Enjoying
enjoying
the
the little
senses
things.
is Hod.
So I was having a balance until I blew out my Netzach, probably.
I think we shift back and forth, but if we can become aware of it, it's a real healing tool. Like
Yeah.
you can you can have a conversation between two of your sphirot, or between yourself, whatever that is, and a sphira. You can have a dialogue. It's very instructive to have dialogue, and you can write out the various things that um, the different participants are saying. If you write it out, it's actually a way of getting into what that sphera is telling you.
Ah,
It's a very good technique. Um,
but
so,
I saw the connection of the power, right? The power can kind of be in the middle, like if there's four quadrants of Gevurah, Chesed, Hod, and Netzach, right? Like I
mhm.
guess I'm thinking of chakras still, but like I couldn't figure out exactly where that was. Like if the power center's out of
Well,
balance.
well, you're talking about the four the four spheros that are on the on the
Yeah,
lateral.
Perimeter,
On the
maybe.
perimeter is what the word I was aiming for. And they're in the body, in the manifest world. They're not
yeah,
in the upper triangle. So those four are kind of a quadrant. That's
like the
another sense of relationships, right?
okay, okay,
So the day that really helped me was Tiferet in Netzach,
okay,
because that was, oh, self-compassion can help my drive to be restored. right? I can send compassion into Netzach and know that I can heal it. Um, Somebody writes, Machi writes, when I don't feel well and have little energy, I tend to push Netzach and deplete myself. Exactly. Then I have to go into the quiet dark of Hod. And someone agreed, and that's exactly, I think, Mary Rita, that's um, exactly what we're talking about. So the other one that tends to sometimes stand alone in my experience is Gevura.
Mm,
So it's sometimes it needs to be brought back into relationship so that it doesn't. Well, actually, in some people, Chesed kind of stands alone, and it needs to be brought back into relationship.
I think
but
both of them do.
the relationship with Gevura and Netzach.
Well, what so I when I approach a day, I say, where is this on my body? And I draw the lines. And one of my favorite lines is from Gevura into Netzach because it crosses through Tiferet. And I
Mhm.
feel that my body is girded with strength, and that strength is suffused with compassion. So it does pay to map it on your body. Just draw it. And
So,
you
yeah.
know what, Dan? If you don't get the sides right, it doesn't matter. What matters is the pillars. You've
Right.
got the central column and the two pillars on the sides. That's what matters.
No, but I also I like the idea that you started with, that we said the relationships are
Right.
just as important as the items or
Yes, they are. So there's
no,
22 pathways in the tree.
right.
And we tend to look at each sphera in isolation, but that's not the way it's meant to be looked at. We're meant to look at the pathways between them and their relationships and how they function together, because they function together. Um, they function together better than they function alone. So I think we do ourselves, we single them out to count the Omer, and then that's what we think it's about. We think it's about the single sphirot, but I don't think it's about the single ones. I
No, but
think it's
that's also why the way you guys do it with the chesed, shebe, whatever,
correct.
helps with all those different lines and
It
everything.
helps with those different lines,
Right,
absolutely.
because they all support each other rather than, I mean, one of the, Phyllis Berman, when I was learning from her, was talking about Chesed and Gevura and that continuum and Netzach and Hod as a continuum, but we really didn't talk about the cross traffic.
Right,
We didn't get to that,
right.
which I think you're very much right. Can I add one other thing?
Yes.
Um, One of the words I don't think anybody mentioned, but I think it has a lot of meaning for me, is the word resilience.
I
And
think we had it, but
I
it's worth
said
saying
it.
again.
oh,
I
you
It's
said
worth
said
it?
it.
saying again.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
because for me, that's, I mean, first of all, that's a buzzword of the last
20 years.
well, yeah, but also, yeah, the last 10 years. Um, just politically, economically, and everything else like that. Um, that resilience, it makes so much sense to me. Even just thinking as opposed to big energy, just having the energy, and just having any energy, rather than defeatism and weakness and all that. Having the resilience, the strength, and that makes some sense to me.
It
And
makes sense to me too, Dan, because I feel that resilience in this context is almost self-healing. It's that bounciness. It's that we're not driving forward all the time. Um, so resilience, I think, is a really good word for helping us with some of the Netzach force.
so if I'm very weak in resilience, I don't have a lot of resilience. I very easily go to defeatism and withdrawing and woe is me if I'm not feeling well, et cetera, et cetera. The
Mm-hmm.
antidote is more Netzach, like you do. You try to push yourself,
Mm-mm, no,
or
I
is
think
it
the antidote is Chesed.
and Tiferet?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I
Well,
think
I'll write myself a prescription for Chesed
Yeah, Chesed and Tiferet.
and
But Hesed with Gevurah too, with Gevurah, strength. Sorry.
So Gevurah would set the path. Gevurah creates the boundaries and the perimeters through which you want to act. So there is a lot to be said for this stripe from the left shoulder to the right hip and from the right hip back up to the left shoulder. I like that one a lot. We haven't enough time. Is your meditation 2 or 3 minutes long?
At the most.
Okay.
And it's not really done as a meditation. It was more like just kind of a letter to myself that I shared because the Sefirot was so confusing to me. And I hated to have all the names. They got in the way. So if I may read this, it will be
Yeah,
probably
please.
2 minutes.
Sure.
So I saw a Sifriotic tree of life hanging on a luminescent wire above me like a mistletoe, twirling and sparking a family of Kabbalistic trees of life extending throughout my being. My countenance became a Kabbalistic tree. Then, from my neck to my toes, trees emerged. They extended from each of my fingers and toes out to the world. On the bottom of my feet were snowshoes of the Sefirot. I am feeling myself filled with a dynamic spiritual boost of the attributes. And there's more. They dance within, like a square dance, do-si-do, changing places and moving in circles both clockwise and counterclockwise. There is an ongoing synergy as the right and left sides of the tree seesaw into dynamic balance. My body achieves harmony as the inner symphony of the dance and the symmetry of the symbolism awakens something that is beyond words. It stirs the stored original light, or Haganuz, that assures me that I am integral to humanity as I tune into and live according to the map of balanced Sefirot. What's in the name? Is the pairing of the attributes for each Sephirah an intellectual exercise, or can we actually be imbued with their essence? Shefa says that if we didn't have the Torah, we'd be guided by the Song of Songs. And now I know that it can be distilled into embodied presence through the Sifriotic dance within that will heal us and the world as we consciously move and create, guided by our internal map. Marcia Prager asked, "Who are we?" And we sing, "We are light, love, and infinite blessings." I suggest that we are the amalgamation of energy, light, color, and dynamic balance that connects us to source and wholeness as we become embodied emanations of divinity. Finally, I saw a mishkan that appeared around my body. There were 4 walls that were each graphic representations of the Kabbalistic tree. The roof was comprised of the same images angling in and meeting at the top point that connected to a twinkling star. Nothing was stagnant. It lifted like Dorothy Gale's home from Kansas, landing in Oz. My Sifriotic Mishkan ascends to heaven and lands gently back to earth with more light and love than can be contained within physical walls. All this is sourcing and being sourced through the Sefirot I saw in my body. The inner light absorbs any impurities and cleanses each cell of my being. When I truly allow myself to be involved in the dance, I heal. I have da'at, hineni, and I am whole, integrated, and healed, and capable of healing others.
Wow. So there's a huge amount there.
Another
And I-
night.
And I think the key there is that you can let go of the words. And you-
Definitely let go of the words. And the left and the right, let it go.
yeah, and you can feel into what is this light in my body? That's what the Sphirot are. They're different bulbs, right? What is this light in my body? And how does it move, and what does it interact with? And yeah, lots to ponder there. So we want to count for tonight. But before I do, is there any final question? Okay, so I'm going to screen share this. I'm not beautiful at screen sharing, so you'll forgive me. It's not perfect, but we're going to listen to the song, and then we'll say the blessing.
Leshem yichud kodsha brichu ushchintei hineni mukhan umezuman lekayem mitzvat aseh Leshem yichud kodsha brichu ushchintei hineni mukhan umezuman lekayem mitzvat aseh shel sfirat haomer shel sfirat haomer shel sfirat haomer shel sfirat haomer sheva shabbatot temimot tihena sheva shabbatot temimot tihena Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sfirat haomer al sfirat haomer al sfirat haomer al sfirat haomer
Hayom Shmona v'esrim yom shehem arba shavuot la'omer. Today is day 28, which is 4 weeks of the Omer.